Mark, I'm a little bit intrigued here.
Right.
Because you dropped in a little thing a few blogs ago about a story that happened where you embarrassed some people.
Yeah.
And it's just been sort of with me a little bit, and maybe it's been with some of the other folks who are actually watching the blogs.
Yeah.
Tell us the story when you embarrassed some people.
Right. Well, I'd felt this strong sense from the Lord that I should go to a women's conference.
Yeah.
And share a bit on this whole issue of lust in men.
Okay.
And I know the lady who's sort of in charge there, and so Karen, my wife, asked whether it'd be possible for me to do 5 or 10 minutes, and she was absolutely fine about it. And as it was, I ended up doing it in an evening when the guys could come as well, so it was a bit safer to do it.
Sure.
You know? But I've been trying to get across to women what men are like, you know, because actually I found that women kind of have this sense that maybe we got issues. Half of them don't want to know. Don't blame them, right? As guys, we don't want them to know.
No,
it's not safe for them to know.
Correct.
And you know, I know some people have gone for full disclosure. Even in their marriages, and you know, don't get me wrong, I do believe in full disclosure, but in the end, it can be tremendously destructive because guys never seem to get better. So I was just sharing about what it's like for a guy, you know, and anyone who reads a newspaper will occasionally see a headline that says that men think about sex every 2 minutes. Yeah, I think that's a bit, you know, low.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's practically all the time for most guys, right? There's only when we're engrossed in sport we're not thinking about sex. Yeah. You wonder why we're into sport? It takes us away from thinking about sex all the time, right? and you know, unless it's women sport, of course.
Which is the worst option when it comes to beach volleyball.
Yeah, absolutely. And then. I remember reading somewhere else that women now are beginning to behave like men. And the reason why is because they get drunk a lot. Yeah. So I stood in front of this group, and there's quite a Pentecostal crowd.
Sure.
And as soon as I said it, I thought, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I was saying, you know, have any of you ever been a bit tipsy or a bit drunk? And then I was thinking, Pentecostals, anti-drink, you know, all that kind of thing. Yeah. You know, I'm pretty much anti-drink and what it does. I think the world would be a better place without it. But, you know, I'm quite happy to talk about it as well. You know, there's no-go areas.
Yeah.
And so there was a kind of wince, and I thought, oh, this is going well. They're not going to have me back. And I said, well, when women get a bit tipsy, their testosterone goes right up. Right, to about the level that the men are in normal life without getting drunk, right? And so, you know, if any of you experience that, you know, you feel quite amorous, a bit randy when you're a bit tipsy, you know. And then there was this like tittering across and embarrassed laughter to the extent that I was thinking, I can't say anything more. They won't stop laughing, you know. And I was even getting a little bit annoyed, but I managed to, you know, not show that. And I kept going. And what I was trying to get across was, ladies, if you've ever experienced that, that kind of feeling amorous, that randiness, and so on, that is how a guy feels virtually every minute of the day, and that's what we contend with. And you know, I share that in Antioch. People used to be talking like that. I was in a kind of broader conference, and I realised, Mark, you know, something's
just pushing it.
So that was the story. Yeah.
Right.
I think that it's assumed that when a guy gets married, it all goes away. But actually, it doesn't, because there's nothing left to the imagination, is there? You know. Right. So, and one of the most discouraging things for a guy is that it doesn't go away when you get married, that you actually have to work at it. Yeah. I remember I shared this at a wedding, and all the women were up in arms. I thought there was going to be a riot about it. I was just talking about how when Karen and I got married, we went on honeymoon, and that was great, you know. And when we got back, I was in an environment where it was a mixed team and so on, and there was a new girl on the team, and I kind of fancied her. And I was just so shocked. You know, what's that all about? Yeah. You know, I thought that was all over. And I did not know what to. No one had told me that it didn't go away.
Yeah.
You know, so one of the things we do is prepare married couples for the fact that it takes a bit of work. Some of these things don't just go away. Yeah. But another thing we talk about is you do want a husband to be honest with their wife as to where they're at with this. Yeah. You want the wife to understand and not take it all personally. And you can understand that if a husband has a problem with lust, why wouldn't a wife take that personally? Yeah, you know, right, what's wrong with her? Don't you find me attractive? Yeah. You know, why have you got eyes? You know, don't you love me anymore? All that kind of stuff that guys hate. Yeah. And because they can't do anything with it, and there's no answer to it, and all they can do is fail at it. Yes. Yeah. So we spend a lot of time talking about that conundrum that if guys are set up to fail, they fail more. Yes. It's just a fact of life. That if they can never get free of something, they won't. And I've been experimenting with talking about that you could have levels of, you know, when your wife asks you, you know, how have you done this week? Well, you don't go into detail. It's an agreement between you. Yeah. Because that's destructive. Yeah? But you actually have a kind of code for levels. Yes. You know? So you'd have an agreed code of, it's been terrible this week. Yeah. Right? And when you say it's been terrible, right, that means it's been bad. Yeah. Internet porn, whatever. But you don't get into detail because you've got an agreement with you that when you're confessing that, you're also saying, and I'm going to go to the person I'm accountable to and get help. Do you understand what I mean? Yeah. And then you could have another code line, which is it's been a bit off and on, or something like that. That means you've been battling with it, or it's been a bit of a battle this week. Yeah. You know, that means you have been active, you have been fighting it, but it's been a struggle. Yeah. And with that one again would go the implicit thing in it that you would also get help from your person you're accountable to. Sure. And then, you know, you would have a level with, it's not been too bad. Or you might have a level of scot-free this week, you know? Yes. And in that way, you can maintain an agreed honesty with your wife without, in the end, having to lie. Because there's only so many times you feel a man can let their wife down. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I think it's a real key one, this outside help and agreed principles of working so that this doesn't take over your whole married life and it can be dealt with and it's achievable.